Time check! It's English O'Clock! Ang pag-aaral ng English upang madaling matutunan, bakit hindi natin simplihan? Halika! Manood at makinig sa English Teacher ni Juan!
Kung bago ka pa lang sa channel na to, huwag kang matakot. I made learning English easy for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe. At pakishare mo na rin sa iba para marami pang mga Juan na gaya mo ang matuto.
Hello everyone! Medyo marami tayong pag-uusapan this week. Sa ngayon, eto muna. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to draw inferences about the author's purpose and target audience, analyze real-world issues presented, and analyze how textual evidence supports arguments by summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. These are the learning competencies and objectives. First, draw inferences and conclusions to formulate sound judgment. Author's purpose and meaning, target audience, hypothetical versus real, experts versus lay people, managerial versus rank and file. Next, analyze the real-world issues, occurrences presented in informational texts. And analyze textual evidence to support an argument or general statement, quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing. Sa araw-araw nating pakikisalamuha sa iba't ibang uri ng tao, likas na sa atin ang pagmamasid o pag-obserba sa mga nasa paligid. Nasubukan mo na bang hulaan ang trabaho ng isang tao base sa kanyang kasuotan? O di kaya naman ay nasubukan mo na bang ibigay ang iyong opinyon tungkol sa pag-uugali ng isang tao base sa kanyang kilos at mga salita? Ang prosesong ito ay tinatawag na drawing inferences. Ang drawing inferences ay tumutukoy sa proseso ng paggawa ng konklusyon o kahulugan mula sa mga ebidensya na hindi direktang sinabi o ipinahayag. Sa madaling salita, ito ay ang pagpapakahulugan batay sa impormasyon na nasa teksto o sitwasyon gamit ang iyong kaalaman, lohika at karanasan. Halimbawa, kung ang isang karakter na hangos sa nabasa mong kwento ay inilarawan gaya nito, nanginginig ang kanyang kamay at pinagpapawisan habang hinahanap ang sagot sa pagsusulit. Maaari kang mag-drawing ng inference na siya ay kinakabahan o natatakot. Mahalaga sa kanya ang pagsusulit. Ang inference na ito ay batay sa mga pahiwatig na nanginginig ang kamay at pinagpapawisan kahit na hindi direktang sinabi ng may akda na siya ay kinakabahan. In English, drawing inferences means using clues or evidence from a text, conversation, or situation to make logical conclusions or educated guesses about something that isn't directly stated. It involves reading between the lines and using your own knowledge and reasoning to understand deeper meanings or implications. These are the following key points. Number 1, not explicitly stated. The information or conclusion is not clearly written or said, so you infer it. Number 2, relies on clues. You gather hints from the content, tone, or context. And number 3, uses prior knowledge. Your own experiences and understanding help you interpret the clues. Examples: in a story, if a character is described as wearing a thick coat and shivering, you might infer that the weather is cold even if the text doesn't explicitly say so. Number 2, in everyday life, if a friend suddenly stops texting you and seems distant, you might infer they are upset about something. The author's purpose refers to the reason why an author writes a text. Ito ay ang layunin o dahilan kung bakit isinulat ng isang manunulat ang isang akda. It is what the author intends to achieve with their writing. Common purposes include to inform, persuade, entertain, or express ideas or emotions. Each purpose shapes the content, tone, and structure of the text. First purpose is to inform or pagbibigay ng impormasyon. The author provides facts, explanations, or instructions to educate the audience. Characteristics: objective and neutral tone, use of facts, data, and evidence, clear and straightforward language. These are the following examples. Textbooks explain historical events or scientific concepts. News articles report on current events. How-to guides teach skills like cooking or repairing a car. Next is to persuade or makapanghikayat. The author aims to convince the reader to adopt a belief, take action, or agree with a viewpoint. Characteristics: emotional appeals or logical arguments, use of persuasive language, supporting evidence such as statistics, testimonials, or anecdotes. Examples: advertisements convince you to buy a product. Political speeches advocate for policies or candidates. Opinion pieces or editorials argue for or against an issue. Next purpose is to entertain or magbigay ng aliw. The author seeks to amuse, engage, or evoke emotional responses from the audience. Characteristics: creative storytelling, humor, or vivid imagery. Focus on plot, characters, and emotions. A casual or engaging tone. Examples: novels or short stories provide engaging narratives. Poetry evoke emotions or offer aesthetic pleasure. And comics or screenplays entertain through humor, drama, or action. Next, to express ideas or emotions or maglahad ng opinyon o damdamin. The author shares personal feelings, opinions, or reflections, often without a formal goal of informing or persuading. Characteristics: subjective and personal tone, focus on introspection or emotional depth, may lack structured argumentation or factual content. Examples: diaries or journals record personal thoughts and experiences. Personal essays reflect on life events or philosophical ideas. Letters or blogs express emotions or opinions to specific audiences. Lastly, we have mixed purposes. Some texts serve multiple purposes. For example, a documentary script might both inform and entertain. A motivational speech could aim to persuade and express emotions, and a satirical essay might entertain while subtly persuading the reader to think critically. Understanding the author's purpose. To identify the purpose, consider the following. First, the tone. Is it serious, humorous, or emotional? The content. Does it focus on facts, arguments, or storytelling? The intended audience. Who is the text meant for, and how might it resonate with them? Now, the following are also some clues that you can consider to determine the author's purpose in writing. Vocabulary choices. The use of formal language to inform, the use of strong verbs to persuade, and the use of descriptive language to entertain. Sentence structure. The use of short, direct sentences to inform, the use of strong verbs to persuade, and the use of varied sentences to entertain. Overall tone. The use of serious and informative tone to inform, and the use of convincing words to persuade. Now, let's talk about the target audience. Para sa isang writer, importante na alam mo kung saang klase na bibilang ang iyong mambabasa. Ang isinulat mo ba ay para kanino? Ito ba ay para sa mga estudyante, sa mga profesional o para sa mga karaniwang uri ng tao? Ano ba ang antas ng kanilang kaalaman? Madali ba nilang mauunawaan kung gagamit ka ng formal na tono at technical na wika? It is important for you to understand your audience. Understanding the audience helps authors to tailor their message effectively, readers better evaluate the content's relevance, and critics analyze the work's success in reaching its intended audience. Halimbawa, kung ang akda ay isinulat para sa mga professional kagaya ng para sa mga doktor, magiging formal ito at tiyak na gagamit ng mga scientific at medical terms na hindi madaling mauunawaan ng isang ordinaryong tao o ng isang tao na wala sa nasabing propesyon. Kumpara naman ito sa mga bata na mambabasa, maaaring gumamit lamang ng mga simple words and colorful descriptions na madali nilang maiintindihan. The following are the categories of audiences. First, hypothetical versus real. Hypothetical. The audience the author imagines they are addressing. Real. The actual people who read or engage with the work. Example, a blog post on parenting might imagine parents as the audience or as the hypothetical audience, but it might also attract child psychologists or educators, which are the real audiences. Next, experts versus lay people. Experts. The work might include technical terms, advanced concepts, or research data. Lay people, simple language, relatable examples, and clear explanations. Example, a medical journal is for experts while a health magazine article simplifies concepts for lay people. Managerial versus rank and file. Managerial likely uses strategic language, data, and high-level planning information. Rank and file focuses on practical instructions or operational details. Example, a company memo for executives would discuss big-picture goals, while one for employees might explain specific tasks. Now let's talk about analyzing real-world issues presented. Analyzing real-world issues presented in a text involves critically examining how the author portrays and addresses significant problems or topics that affect society, communities, or individuals. This process helps you understand the issue's context, implications, and the author's perspective. Ang pagsusuri ng mga isyong pangkalipunan or real-world issues na inilalahad sa isang babasahin ay isang mahalagang kasanayan na naglalayong maunawaan ang nilalaman, konteksto at layunin ng manunulat. Binibigyang pansin dito ang mga pangunahing detalye, argumento at solusyon na inihahain upang masuri ang epekto ng issue sa lipunan. These are the steps to analyze real-world issues in a text. Number 1. Identify the issue o tukuyin ang mga pangunahing issue. What is the central problem? Look for the topic or theme the author focuses on. Examples, is it about climate change, inequality, political corruption, or healthcare reform? Number 2. Understand the context. What is the historical, social, or cultural background of the issue? Consider when and where the text was written. Example, if historical or present situation, the effects of pandemic in our economy. Number 3. Evaluate the author's perspective or ano ang sinasabi ng akda tungkol sa issue. What is the author's stance on the issue? Is the author presenting facts, taking side, or advocating for change? Look for biases, assumptions, or a particular agenda. Number 4. Examine the evidence. Gumagamit ba ang author ng mga ebidensya kagaya ng datos para suportahan ang kanyang argumento? What support does the author provide? Does the author use statistics, expert opinions, anecdotes, or case studies? Evaluate whether the evidence is credible, sufficient, and relevant. Number 5. Assess the implications. Tumutukoy ito sa kung ano ang maaaring kahihinatnan o mga panukalang solusyon. What are the potential outcomes of the issue or proposed solutions? Consider how the issue affects different groups of people. Think about long-term consequences or broader societal impact. Number 6. Analyze the target audience. Sino ang inaasahang tumugon sa issue? Who is the author addressing? Is the issue framed differently for experts, policymakers, government, private sectors, or the general public? Number 7. Consider counter-arguments. Does the text acknowledge opposing viewpoints? Analyze whether the author effectively addresses or dismisses alternative perspectives. And number 8. Evaluate the writing's effectiveness. Does the text succeed in raising awareness, persuading, or informing? Assess the clarity, tone, and emotional or logical appeals. Now here's an example analysis of real-world issues. The topic is about climate change. Number 1. Issue identified. The increasing effects of global warming on ecosystems and human populations. Number 2. Context. The text might reference international agreements like the Paris Accord or recent extreme weather events. Number 3. Author's perspective. The author advocates for immediate government intervention and renewable energy investments. Number 4. Evidence used. Statistics on rising global temperatures and scientific studies. Implications. Without action, ecosystems may collapse, affecting biodiversity and human livelihoods. Target audience: policymakers and environmentally conscious individuals. Counter-arguments: the text addresses critics by arguing that economic growth is possible alongside sustainability. The following are the tips for analyzing real-world issues. First, stay objective. Recognize biases in the text and in your own perspective. Next, do background research. Learn more about the issue to better understand the author's points. And number 3, ask critical questions. Is the issue presented fairly and comprehensively? Are the solutions practical and evidence-based? By methodically analyzing real-world issues presented in a text, you can better understand the author's intent and the broader significance of the topic. This time, let's proceed to the next topic, analyzing how textual evidence supports arguments o ang pagsusuri kung paano sinusuportahan ng ebidensyang hango sa tekstong binasa ang mga argumento. Analyzing how textual evidence supports arguments involves identifying key pieces of information from a text and explaining how they strengthen or validate the author's claims. Using summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting effectively allows you to integrate evidence into your analysis while maintaining clarity and focus. Ang pagsusuri kung paano sinusuportahan ng ebidensyang tekstual ang mga argumento ay isang mahalagang bahagi ng kritikal na pagbasa at pagsulat. Ito ay naglalayong alamin kung paano ginagamit ang mga impormasyon, datos o halimbawa sa teksto upang palakasin ang pananaw ng may akda o ipagtanggol ang isang ideya. Methods for using textual evidence. First, summarizing. Condensing the main idea of a passage into a brief statement. Focus on the essence of the text without including unnecessary details. When to use. When you want to highlight the overall point of a section. Example, original text. The rapid deforestation of tropical rainforests has resulted in the loss of countless species, with some estimates suggesting that thousands of species go extinct every year due to habitat destruction. Summary: deforestation causes significant species extinction annually. Next, paraphrasing. Rewriting the information in your own words while keeping the original meaning intact. Requires rephrasing without changing the author's intent or adding bias. When to use. When you want to explain a specific idea or detail in your own style. Example, here's the original text. The rapid deforestation of tropical rainforests has resulted in the loss of countless species. Paraphrase, the destruction of rainforests has led to the disappearance of numerous species. Lastly, quoting. Using the exact words from the text enclosed in quotation marks. When to use. When the exact wording is impactful, authoritative, or difficult to rephrase effectively. Example, deforestation of tropical rainforests has resulted in the loss of countless species. Here are the steps to analyze evidence. First, introduce the evidence. Contextualize the information so the reader knows where it came from and why it is relevant. Example, the author argues that deforestation is a leading cause of species extinction. Number 2, present the evidence. Use a summary, paraphrase, or quote depending on the context and purpose. Example, according to the article, deforestation of tropical rainforests has resulted in the loss of countless species. Number 3, explain the evidence. Show how the evidence supports the argument. Answer, why does this matter? Example, this statistic emphasizes the urgency of addressing habitat destruction to preserve biodiversity. And number 4, connect to the larger argument. Tie the evidence back to the main claim or thesis. Example, by highlighting the ecological consequences of deforestation, the author strengthens the case for stricter environmental regulations. When to use each method. Method, summarizing. It is best for providing a brief overview of a larger section to set context or highlight key points. Paraphrasing is best for explaining detailed or complex ideas in simpler terms or integrating seamlessly into your writing. And quoting is best for citing authoritative sources, capturing powerful phrasing, or analyzing the author's exact words. Here's an example analysis. Claim: renewable energy is crucial for combating climate change. Evidence from text. Solar and wind energy are now more affordable than ever, with costs dropping by over 80% in the past decade. First, introduce evidence. The author asserts that affordability is a major factor in the adoption of renewable energy. Number 2, present evidence. They state, solar and wind energy are now more affordable than ever, with costs dropping by over 80% in the past decade. Explain evidence. The significant decrease in costs makes renewable energy a practical alternative to fossil fuels. Number 4, connect to argument. By emphasizing economic viability, the author demonstrates that transitioning to renewable energy is not only environmentally beneficial but also financially feasible. By effectively summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting, you can present and analyze textual evidence to build compelling arguments.
So did you learn something today? Sure ako na hindi ka na nosebleed. If you want more of this video tutorial and learn English in a light speed, huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe, turn on ang notification button para updated ka sa mga bagong lessons. Ako ang teacher mo, ang English teacher ni Juan. Class dismissed. See ya!